In this video, I'm going to talk to you about Gamer A.D.D. and whether there's anything that you can do about it. Now, completely full disclosure, I have been accused of this on multiple occasions, and that is Gamer A.D.D. So ADD is attention deficit disorder, and it's a real disorder that people have. It makes it difficult for them to focus on specific things and kind of keep working on one thing at a time and that kind of stuff. And there's an offshoot, we'll say, of it, and it's obviously this is not a real disorder. This is not a real thing that you could go see a doctor about. ADD, yes. Gamer ADD, no. This you have to try to figure out how to fix yourself. But Gamer ADD is when you see the next new shiny thing and you're like, oh, that's really cool, I'm going to buy that. And then you see a different game, something new or a new version, and you're like, oh, that's awesome, I'm going to get into that. And then you're, oh, and this, and it's very difficult for you to get anything kind of focused on, get anything moving in the right direction. And this can happen depending on, you know, what it is that you're focusing on. Are you focusing on constantly changing game systems, or are you constantly focusing on changing specific armies? Now, if you're changing game systems all the time, that's difficult because it really actually encompasses both things. In most situations, you change a game system, you also generally have to change the army as well. Unless you get into, say, historicals, then your Saxons would probably be good in just about any other, you know, comparable historical rule set that would use Saxons, as long as the scale is right and all those things being equal. But with games that aren't historical, it's very frequently the case that you're going to be, you know, trying to come up with an army to build for Malifaux, a crew, as they like to call it, and then you decide, you know what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch over to Age of Sigmar. Those little dudes are not coming across generally over to Age of Sigmar. So changing systems like that is very difficult, not only because it makes you also change your army, but also because then you have to think of the game in a completely different way. You have to learn completely different rules. And I have played against people with this very issue where they change rule systems very frequently, and then they get confused as to which one they're playing right now. So they'll be like, all right, so I'm going to charge now, and that is a, you know, a 9-inch charge. And you're like, no, it's 2d6. It's not a, you know, like, oh, right, yeah, no, I was thinking of the other game I was playing, you know, 2 weeks ago. And so that can be a real problem. Now, the trick is that with your kind of losing focus on game systems, there are definite downsides as well, obviously. Most of them I just mentioned right there. But there can be some positives as well. One of the biggest positives is you get to try out lots of different systems. Now, that can sometimes come from a place of ill thought. You've probably heard of something called FOMO, F-O-M-O. It's the fear of missing out. Usually it comes up to, well, I got to make sure I go to all the different parties, or I got to make sure I go out to the bar every night, or I got to make sure I always do this thing because I don't want to miss out. That's the fear of missing out. That's the FOMO. In rule sets, there's also definitely a FOMO, which can basically turn you into a gamer with ADD. Well, this new game system sounds really cool, so I got to play it. And this one, and I don't want to miss out this, and then so you hop around a lot. The benefit is that you get to figure out sometimes through playing a lot of different systems, you know, this is really the one I like. And then hopefully that love of that one system can overtake your ADD in gaming systems, and maybe you'll start to focus a little bit more on that. Now, let's say you've picked your gaming system. You're playing this game, absolutely. You've got these rules on lock, you're ready to go. But you have a hard time deciding on which army you want to play. This is the other aspect of Gamer ADD. You're always playing the same game, but you constantly switch your armies up. The real downside to this, again, all these things definitely can impact your wallet, for sure. But let's say that's not a big deal, or let's say you've just got this one hobby, or whatever. The other issues can be if you constantly switch armies. If you're playing Tyranids and then you decide, nope, I want to play Orcs, and then you say, nope, I want to play Imperial Guard, Within 40K, all three of those are horde armies, which means that it's filled with low point costed troops and hundreds of them. So in that situation, the amount of painting time it would take to paint an 1850 list of, let's say, Tyranids, and then decide, let's say halfway through, no, I want to do orcs now, and then selling those guys, and then moving into, you will never reach an actual completion of your army if you keep constantly changing around. So that's the biggest issue with staying within a single system, but constantly hopping around between armies. And a lot of people do it because the businesses, the companies that make these games, constantly come out with newer and cooler stuff. And we all kind of have what some people call shiny syndrome, where the new thing comes out and they're like, oh, that's what I want. That's the thing. And then, 6 months later, oh, no, these new things, that's the new hotness. That's what I want. So, how do you solve that issue? Well, because none of these first world problems, admittedly, none of them are actual real mental disorders. That means that you could just cut it out. You know what I mean? Like, you could just stop, just kind of use your willpower and stop constantly changing armies. Just decide, you know what? I'm actually going to just sit down and finish this army. And there are plenty of people out there who do that doggedly, either because they used to be ADD gamers, or maybe they just see their friends who are ADD gamers. So they're like, nope, I'm going down this road and I'm never going to deviate until I get to the end of it. And then maybe I will deviate to another road. That's fine. That's a way you can do it to help you kind of stop the ADD. And it works out relatively well. Another, let's say more fun way, is to play skirmish games. One of the reasons that skirmish games are so popular right now, frankly, is because they allow you to really kind of feed that whole ADD thing, the Gamer A.D.D. thing that you might have hiding inside of you. You can sit down and buy a crew for a game like Malifaux, or a group for a game like Mercs, where it's 6, 7, maybe 8 figures, or in Merc's case, it's like 5, and you build those guys, paint them, set them all up, play some games. Yep, that was cool. All right, now I want to play a different army from that same group. So you can stick within a single game system, but hop around between different crews, because it's not 70 or 80 models you've got to paint to build your army. It's 6, maybe 8, that kind of game. One of the reasons I think the skirmish games are really taking off is because of this very thing. So many of us as gamers are really, really into the concept of hopping around and, the attention span issue, which all of us have. And as an overall group, we probably, as humans, are, getting worse and worse attention spans as we go on. And that's just part of, moving forward, I suppose. Your thoughts may vary, that's fine. But my point is that skirmish games can really help to scratch that itch and really get it so that people can do a little bit of this and then do a little bit of that and kind of get that sort of spice of life, that variety that so many people kind of want in their wargaming. A great new example of this, of course, is Shadow War Armageddon from Games Workshop, which I just talked about recently. Pachow. This game, for me, scratches a great itch because I can build 10 guys, maybe 15 or 20 if I decide to go orcs or whatever. And I can build like 10 guys, convert them, do all kinds of cool stuff to them, paint them just the way I want, get everything cool, play with them, have a good time, and then just start another group because it's just another 10 guys. But yet I'm still playing with the same terrain, I'm playing with the same rules, I'm focusing on that. And for me, that's a great thing. With a lot of people, they like to hop around from game system to game system, and that is difficult. But some people can live in that area and make it happen. The people who are generally sometimes struck worse in this whole situation are the people who don't have Gamer A.D.D. The people who want to play this one game. And so they start getting into this game because their friends are getting into this game, and then their friends with the Gamer A.D.D. go off in different directions. And then they don't necessarily want to follow. And that's very difficult. I understand. The trick is, I think, is that we as gamers are just very different people. Some people have the ability to work within that kind of madness, if you will. Others can't ever actually get anything done because of this Gamer A.D.D. But some people can. Some people can definitely get through and get over the hump and get things painted. Other people have decided to play it smart and go skirmish games, because then that way it's a lower target. It's lower hanging fruit. Painting an army of 10 guys versus an army of 100, it's much easier. So if you want to get out of the Gamer A.D.D habit, the best way is to just use the willpower to say, I'm just going to finish this army. I've been working on these guys. I need to finish it. Don't buy anything new. Don't open up any boxes you've already got sitting in the basement because you want to do, just sit down, knuckle down, and make it happen. If it's not that big of a concern and you don't feel like, it's really impacting your ability to get things painted, to get games played, then you can use games like skirmish games and things like that to, sort of steer into it and embrace it.